Good evening, everybody. Hey, if those of you in the chat could do me a favor, since I'm kind of doing something different here for a change, can you let me know if you can hear me? We'll see if everybody in the chat can hear us here. Somebody, anybody, post in the chat. Can you hear me? No. No, you can't hear me, Cody. All right. Can you say something, Charles? Can you?
Hello. Good evening, folks.
All right.
From Birmingham, Pennsylvania.
All right. So, a little bit different setup here tonight. I'm sweating. It's warm out.
Really?
I got half a bottle of Gatorade in front of me, and I don't have any sunglasses, but that's okay. The people at home probably need it from the sun behind me. So, unfortunately, you don't get Nico tonight. Standing in for him, we got this nice Rubbermaid garbage can. It's kind of got a nice smooth top like Nico's head. I'm just kidding. I love you, Nico, if you're watching. So, we got a little bit of a different show planned for you tonight. I think it's going to be a good show. We're going to talk with Charles here about the BTO convention that's going on. We're gonna, and I keep looking down because I'm looking at the camera here, and my camera's actually back there, which reminds me, I forgot several different things tonight, so my camera's running off battery. So if you see the video disappear for a moment at some point, don't worry.
My engine is.
I'm going to change the battery in it, and I'll be right back. I've been up since 6. I apologize. So, at any rate, let's hear a little word from our sponsor for Large Scale Live here real quick, and then I will be right back with Charles, everybody.
The following episode of Large Scale Live is brought to you by Splitjaw, makers of quality metal products for the G-scale modeling world. For rail clamps, expansion joints, bridges, and more, Splitjaw Products has you covered. For more information, visit their website at www.railclamp.com.
All right, and we're back. So, yeah, you have a hard time hearing over the ringing in your ears, Brian? Yeah, I kind of got the same problem. I thought I was hearing a tornado siren the other night. Here it was just the vacuum running at the car wash down the street. So, what would you like to see, Charles?
What would I like to see?
Say.
Okay. So, we're at Birmingham Family Resort in Birmingham, Pennsylvania.
By the way, our camera's up there, so you know.
This is the 4th convention that the BTO has had here. This is the 45th year of our club. The club is older now than any of the current G-scale manufacturers, which we think is kind of unique and nifty. We came to here 5 years ago for our 40th anniversary. And at the time, we had a director in the club who said, hey, there's a nice big pond as part of this resort. Wouldn't it be nice to run a train around the pond? And it caught on like fire. Unfortunately for us, Albert got sick and has not been able to attend the convention since. So the track around the pond is kind of in honor of him and all he did for the club. For your information, the track is 1,185 feet. If you're sitting where I'm sitting in a pavilion and you're running Evolution, the train goes into dark.
While you're talking about that, I'll go pan the camera around and see what you're talking about.
When the train gets about 2/3 of the way around the one side of the pond, my Revolution doesn't connect to it anymore. And so it goes into the dark, kind of dark territory trains that the movie was about. Andrew is picking up the camera, and he's going to do a pan, if you will, around the pavilion. In the pavilion, we have a small switcher with 2 cars and a caboose running on track power. The things around the are all battery powered. They are a combination of Revolution, GoPro, wire, Pico, all
I'm gonna
battery
make sure
powered.
I don't pull my cable
If
down.
I suddenly jump in the middle of this thing, somebody else jumps up and runs by, it's because somebody lost control of the train and we're about to have a rear end collision.
We still got video on the screen, Charles?
Yes, the video is on the screen. As Andrew is moving around, you can see families that are walking along the side, families with young kids.
There's Tim Stump. There's Larry Otis minus a Speedo. Everybody's disappointed.
The young kids in these arrangements, they are following the trains. Some of them have the controls. They were handed to them to just go off and run the trains. Some of them are seeing these for the first time. And these kids will go around this pond 2 or 3 times following the train, which is absolutely amazing. And Tim, can you take my control? My train's catching up with the guy in front of me. I just saw we were about to
say we don't need any P tests tonight.
Yeah, we were about to have to do an alcohol and drug test on an engineer. But the bottom line is, I think we have 4 trains out on the track right now, and we'll run until it's dark. Trains really look great in the dark when they're running. And as you can see, most of the people walking around, they're not club members, they're the public. And so this is our opportunity, our club's opportunity to showcase G-scale trains, the realism, the ability to act like a real train. So one little boy, I said he was about 4, I blew the whistle. He's down on the ground trying to look at the cat who's blowing the whistle. Now, how much better realism can you get than a young boy thinking there's really an engineer in that small cat? I forgot to tell him we didn't bring the shrinking fluid to put a guy in there.
Yeah, I think you know that guy, don't you? He's got the same
Hello,
last
Mark.
name as you.
So what you're seeing are families that are being exposed to the G-scale hobby. What you saw when Andrew moved the camera around, I got a whole pavilion full of club members and spouses that are down here to either run trains or to sit down here and socialize while the trains are going around. The one that's on the pavilion floor being track powered, that's going to be an interesting engine. It's a little Pico switcher. Later in this week, there'll be about 2 tracks, about 60 feet long, laid down in a hallway someplace, and we're going to have drag races. We'll put a switcher on each track.
Drag races.
Drag races.
I didn't bring my heels with me.
Well, then you're in trouble. There'll be 2 of these switchers, one on each track, and there'll be a judge at the far end, and a guy will throw the switch, and both switchers will take down the track as fast as they can go and declare a winner. 2 out of 3 heats, and then that's the winner of that race. And we'll do multiple of those until we finally get down to 1 switcher. It's the fastest of all of them. The rules are it has to be a stock switcher, thumb Pico. You can't have modified it. You could grease it maybe, but that's it. And it has to be a 45th. Now, the second race that we're going to have are the flyers. Until a year ago, I didn't know what a flyer was because they were out and not sold after I got into the hobby. We got a bunch of people that have the old flyers, and the second drag races will be flyers against each other, same thing. So we're going to have probably about 4 hours on Thursday of drag races with the trains. It's just a whole lot of fun, and that's really what I asked Andrew to do this podcast tonight, to show how much fun, the fellowship that we're having. It's a big family. We get together once a year. Some of us see other people during the year, but most of us don't see each other until the next year. It's a chance to catch up, to see what Junior did last year, who graduated, who got married, who had babies. One big extended family. Bird in Hand is a fabulous resort. All kinds of amenities if you're interested: swimming, tennis, basketball courts. But the bottom line is, who cares? We're here to run trains. We have a convention room that has indoor layouts that'll be running every night of the convention. We have a bunch of people on here who think they know a whole lot about our club and about G-Scale.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have trivia contest. And people are going to be asked questions for every night, one winner. Saturday night, we're going to have a great big banquet. And the winner of the trivia will get a prize.
Hey, real quick, everybody. I don't see anybody mention it in the chat. I had someone outside of the chat say that they were hearing a double echo when we're talking. Is the audio sound okay to everybody, or are you hearing like really bad like echo and reverb? It's always a possibility it could just be one person having an issue, but I just want to make sure that I don't need to change something here real quick. I'll give everybody a moment there to say something in the chat. Let's see, Aaron Fowler, you say it sounds good. Kenny says great food. Oh, great food in the area. Yeah, Cody says it's good. Fine. Yep, it's great here in Florida. Dominic Milletta. Okay. I'm thinking. Yeah. One second, everybody. They're good. Okay. Sorry. New setup I'm using here with some lavalier mics. So I just wanted to make sure. Little, not much. Sounds good. Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure, everybody. I wanted to make sure I'm giving you a quality experience, even though Nico's not here.
That's okay. I'm replacing. I'm better than the garbage can.
This is true. I'm just kidding, Nico. I see Amish people. Yeah, you might see that.
Yeah, this is Amish country, and a lot of the people that come down here, next to this pond is an ice cream parlor, and they come down here in the evenings and they get a dish of ice cream or an ice cream cone and take it and they walk around the pond following the trains. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just a good feeling to see people enjoy the trains that we spend so much time putting on. A little historical note, if you will. 5 years ago, we put the train around the pond for the first time. It was about, 8 or 9 people that did it, and it took them almost 3 days to do it. Yesterday, there's a long trestle because the sidewalk dips in a spot. Last year, 5 people built that trestle. Yesterday, Tim Stump and Dave Kaminsky, they built it in roughly 5 hours. And quite frankly, I walked by it. My engineering background says, I wonder where all the stress release are and where are the supports. And they did a whale of a job.
A whale of a job?
Whale of a job. A whale would hit it and it ain't going to fall down.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've heard that term before, and I've heard a lot of terms.
The other side of the coin was that Roger Woods went around and all of the track.
Roger?
Roger, Tia Kepelwood's husband.
Oh, Bank Roger.
Bank Roger, yes.
Okay.
Good old Bank Roger. He sat on a stool. All this track around here is put together with the normal aristo-craft or LGB slip-on things. Obviously, we've taken a lot of this track apart and put it together many times. Those are quite loose. So all of the joints are held together with rubber bands that have been tensioned so that the joints come apart. So while Tim and Dave are building the trestle, Roger's putting 3-4 foot sections of track together one at a time. He started at about 10 o'clock, and I think he finished somewhere around 4 or 4:30 last night. Unfortunately, I contributed very little. I built about 8 or 10 sections of track, and then I went off and found other things to do, like go pick up prizes for the people. The interesting thing about this club, and yes, this is truly a personal commercial for the Big Train Operators Club. If you don't know about us, at the beginning of our convention, everybody that's registered gets a goodie bag. The goodie,
I get a goodie bag?
You get a goodie bag, Andrew.
Oh, man.
I even made yours special.
Ooh.
Yeah, I left one thing out.
That's okay.
But the goodie bag is supported by our vendors. So Pico has given us catalogs for both the 2022 full catalog and what's new in 2023. LGB's provided catalogs. Bachman's provided catalogs. USA Trains has provided their package of little passenger people, one in each bag. We got some whistles, can openers, I think it is, a couple pins. We got some 45th anniversary pins that I hope people will be proud to pin on their shirts. And the big prize, the big goodie bag thing, is going to be a lawn chair. Everybody that's registered is going to get a lawn chair. And if it works out, they get one this year, and maybe next year they get a mate to it so that their spouse can sit with them when they go outside. Or as the one person said, my spouse will get it and I get to stand. On the other hand, if you're like my wife and I, my wife wanted to join the club herself. She wanted her own goodie bag. Can you imagine that? She wasn't satisfied to share mine. So she'll get her own chair. So I'll have 2 chairs this year. But it's a great thing because it says on a 45th anniversary, bird in hand. It'll be a nice memento. And every year we try to do that. As the train goes around behind us, as on the track, there's a 40th anniversary boxcar. There's a Memorial Day boxcar. These are club cars. Bob Samoji, who is our BTO editor and graphic designer, does a beautiful job, an absolutely beautiful job on the graphics. We did a 2023 Christmas card that was this year's set, a 2-car set, wonderful graphics. Only available to members. Once they're gone, but they're beautiful craftsman work. Right now we're using USA Trains, Charles Rowe. I'll give him a big push because he's been a strong supporter of the club. Pico has supplied the little switching engine that we're going to do the drag races on. So we've got good support from our vendors that support this industry. They want to keep this club going, as do we. So if you're not a member yet, we strongly, strongly urge that you get out on our website, Big Train Operators Club, find the web page for membership and sign up. Send John Groot an application number and a check and become a member so you can participate next year in whatever we're going to do. And we're going to have a further discussion of that at our annual meeting in Wednesday of this week. So that's pretty much an overall summary of what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. What else would you like to cover?
Well, I was going to say, and if you're not a member of the Big Train Operators Club, make sure you stick around for a little bit later because we might be giving away a membership.
Yes.
And I think it's a pretty good membership, honestly. And I forgot to bring my copy of the BTO magazine over with me, but you got one laying there? Or?
Anybody got a BTO magazine with them?
No. All right.
They left them all in their hotel room.
You talk for a second. I'm going to run to your van.
Okay.
What do you need to know?
We want to show the magazine to the participants. No. So while Andrew is gone, we have done multiple engines in the past. They did a full maintenance train, 1 car a year. Overall, they've done a great thing. And Tim Stump has a diesel we did this year, a 45th anniversary diesel with gold railings. It's a fabulous engine. And he's going to play games with the camera to get a better picture of that engine.
Yeah, I had to kind of finagle the way I mounted it, Tim, because of my
there he goes.
HDMI connection.
So a beautiful gray engine with the blue BTO lettering in the 45, and the gold handrails just really, really set it off. And that's going to be 2 of the prizes this week at the convention.
Wait, what? That's a prize?
There's 2 of them. It's going to be part of the prize package.
Oh, wow. I thought is that something you custom did, Tim? Or what was
No, this was a club engine
really?
That USA Trains did for us. It's a limited run. We wanted to do them and offer them to the whole club. And they said, all we can do is 25. We can't get any more than that that's unpainted. So we bought 25 and offered them first come, first serve.
Oh, wow.
But we held 2 back to use for prizes. And Tim has very nicely taken this one and it's got RailPro in it. He was running it down here the other night really great putting it out there on the loop track. I'm not sure who's blowing their horn behind me. As you can,
Hey, at least it's not you tooting your own horn for a change, Charles. I'm kidding.
yeah, and now in honor of our military, the train that's coming around the corner over there is Tia Kappa Woods, and it's all military cars in honor of the men and women that have served our country, have given the utmost, and those that have retired and are back here in the country. As a club, we can only thank them for their service. And Tia's train, the Memorial Day car that I'm running on the track power, is another indication of what we have done. Anything to support and honor our men and women that keep us free. And when I think about it, keep us free and lets us have this club to do what we want to do.
What are you asking if Scott brought Cody? I missed your question. You'll have to pop that back up there. Wow.
What?
I like it.
Like which? Oh, the car.
I like everything.
Okay.
But what I walked away for was I wanted to grab one of these. When you're a member of the big train operators,
Switch is on the other side.
sorry, a lot of noise going on here. You actually get a quarterly magazine from them that they send out, and I know I'm probably not doing a great job of showing it on here, but they have all kinds of different stuff in there. Like this one happens to have stuff in there from I believe that's the Cincinnati Garden Railway Society tour that was in there. Looks like some people went down to that. And if this is the one I think it is, let's see. Yeah. And like this one even has like the complete weekly itinerary in there for what's going on at the BTO convention. But I really can't do a lot of great justice for this, just showing it to you in over the live stream. But what's the yearly dues again, Charles?
$60 a year. I'm sorry, $50 a year. It's $60 if it's out of continental U.S.
So $50 a year, you get 4 magazines a year, and I should mention it's the calendar is part of the
January issue. Winter issue, yeah. You get it before January.
Which reminds me, I got to turn a photo in for that this time.
Yes.
So yeah, the fourth one of the year, actually, the whole middle section comes out. It's got a full, calendar, just like if you would open that up in there. So just for the magazine and the calendar alone, I think it's worth it. But it's also a great club to be a member of.
So one of the things about the club that is really nice is that we have some technologists within the club that like to have the latest and greatest. And Tim Stump, who's one of our members here tonight, this was his engine that he put on the table. He has the LGB engine that I call the top of the line that has everything. And Tim, why don't I slide off here so that you can sit down and talk about it?
Yeah. The road here.
We're rearranging things, guys.
Let's see. You want to hand your
Yes.
mic off to Tim there for the moment? So you want me to just pan that down so it's looking at the loco, Tim?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. So say hi to everybody, Tim.
How's everyone doing?
All right. So what are we looking at here, Tim?
This here is the LGB 26601 Ration Crocodile. It is the 100th anniversary of the RHB, and they did this paint scheme special on one of their remaining crocodiles. It's all brass, very heavy. I don't remember the weight. It's at least 15 pounds. runs beautifully. It's DC track power, DCC, MFX, all the bells and whistles that LGB currently offers. It has, unfortunately, we don't have power on it tonight, but it has pantographs that raise up and down manually, or you can raise them up and down digitally. And then when you reverse directions, they will reverse themselves automatically. The couplers are the standard LGB hook and loop, but they are digitally controlled so you can uncouple in a yard.
Oh, really? Oh, that's nice.
The sound system is phenomenal. I mean, it's the best sound that I've ever seen from an LGB. The really nice thing that I like about this one compared to the other two they did, which were their standard brown and blue colors, is this one here changes colors.
By the way, Aaron Fowler says Tim is the best.
I try to be the best I can be at anything I do.
Tell Aaron's dad's here too.
He
He messaged me, says, walk behind the live stream.
But depending on the way the light hits this locomotive, whether it's sunlight, artificial light, but sunlight's always the best, going around curves or just different angles, it can look brown, green, blue, like a rose color. It just depends on the way the light hits it.
Yeah, as I say right now, it's kind of got a pinkish purple kind of color too.
Right. And if you could pan to this side, which you can't, I don't know if I can spin it a little bit like this. And
Could maybe move around a little. Yeah, it does start getting kind of a bluish tinge to it. when
yeah,
you
it
go
gets a
that way.
bluish green tint to it.
Interesting.
In this locomotive, there was only 299 made worldwide.
299.
Yeah.
Wow.
20 of them only came to the United States. I got the last one. Luckily, I called RLD Hobbies. I was like, I need one of these. I need to know by tonight. I was like, well, you know, right now I need this. He's like, well, I got it. It's the last one.
That Robbie. When I got, I'm trying to think what I bought the last time, but I thanked him in the post for always taking my money.
He's very good at that.
Yeah.
There's also a brown and a blue version.
I did. There's a brown and blue version, same identical brass construction, same electronics, internals, but the only difference is the colors of them.
And they are here.
And they are both here. Other club members have them.
And you will be running them inside.
And we will be running these inside on the layout.
And
It will be all digital layout. So we can hear all the bells and whistles and
nice.
station announcements and all the goodies.
yeah, well, I'll have video for that. I'll upload probably next week sometime because I'm sure I'll have plenty of video and pictures I'll be taking this week. But
We hope so.
I did see a question in the chat, Charles. Someone asked how many members were in the BTO.
Our membership is around 300 right now,
300.
Yeah.
Wow.
give or take a few.
Not bad.
We've actually had an increase in membership this year instead of decline, because we've had a lot of senior members that have passed away. But we've picked up some new members that have offset that. So we're a growing club. However, if you're even remotely interested, please reach out, fill out that application and come join us, because I can't emphasize how much fun this is. I mean, you become fast friends. People that you didn't know 2 years ago are suddenly good buddies. If he's watching, Gary Ludwig and his wife came to the convention, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, never been to one before, didn't want to come because he didn't know anybody. We said, well, you know us, and if it bothers you, we'll have dinner with you every night and what have you. So the first night it was over at White Mountain, and the first night of the convention, we had dinner with them. We never saw them again. They found a whole group of friends. They never ate dinner with us the rest of the time. And we did the White Mountain incline train there. When I went down to get in line to get on the train, who was first in line? Gary and Judy, right up front in the train. So it takes about 8 hours once you sign in for registration, and now you're our home buddies. No question about it. It's a great, great opportunity to share your memories, your trains, your experiences with somebody that really, really is going to appreciate it.
And just to answer the question, no, the crocodile is not tonight's giveaway.
No.
Some of us wish it was, but it ain't going to happen.
No. Tonight,
So, Andrew, while we're talking, I got to thinking that maybe some members like me that don't know what a flyer was, like I did a year ago. So I took the switcher off of the track down here, and I have replaced it with one of the flyers that's going to be in the race. And we'll step aside so that when it comes around again, you can see it.
Now I know what you're talking about. Let me see if I
No,
can.
you didn't know either, huh?
I knew, but I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? See,
Gotcha.
I'll zoom in there.
This particular flyer, we had a very strong club member wwho passed away.
It's coming here in 1 second. Here it
His
comes.
wife has joined us, and this is her flyer that she's going to put in the race. And you would think we had these drag races in the hallway of the hotel, and people lined all down one side of the hallway. The other side had the trains on it, and there were men and women on the edge of their seat. Flyer went too fast.
No, someone took them.
Oh, okay. It's jumped the track once tonight for speed. Anyhow, I have this whole line of people. Remember, I said 50, 60 feet of track down this hallway with these trains racing down the track. And I had one woman who was in the race, and her train wasn't doing good. And you'd think this was the Kentucky Derby, and her prized horse was behind it, and she jumped up and was yelling at that engine to get the lead out and move it down that track. I couldn't believe when we talk about the Iron Horse. I think I had a whole bunch of them there because none of them were trains. They were all being cheered on by their owners. That's how intense. And I really didn't want to stand in front of that woman while the train was going by because I think she would have swatted me to the ground so she could watch her train. That's the type of enjoyment and fun that we had. You got it?
Yeah, it's my fault. I'm in charge of the drag races.
That's right. We call it Tim's Famous Races.
Yeah. Almost
Almost
famous.
Well, with this
It's famous.
podcast, we're going to make it famous.
We're famous
this
now.
is now Tim's Famous Drag Races.
Hey, your brother Mark would like to know if you'll ever race egg liners or modified flyers.
No modified flyers. They go too fast. Egg liners might be a possibility at some point.
Yeah.
We're trying to change it up. We used to do it with the Heartland Max, but they dominated so much that we've tried to change it up here and offer other people a chance of winning.
Hopefully. We shall see. And I know the reason Mark asked that because he knows my wife's got something like 27 egg liners.
Yeah. I might have 2 or 3 in the car.
I might have 4 in there.
I have about 14.
Man, with all of these, we could have one whale of a big race. It could go on all night.
As long as we don't knock them off the track.
I'm making my police one into car 54.
So, and so, Mark, since you brought it up, instead of being down in Florida where you're at, you should be up in Birmingham with me like I asked you to. And we'll have drag races, and you can bring your egg liner that you modified with the sirens and the flashing lights. And you can chase the other one around the track.
Is that Mark Bartel?
Yes, my brother.
No, get up here, Ralph.
I tell you.
As you can see, as you can hear in the background, this is a family gathering. Everybody's listening. Andrew had never done a live before. He may never do another one like this. But we're all having fun. Everybody's listening. Everybody's cheering. Everybody's tossing their comments in. And that's what the convention is about.
And it looks really good.
Thank you.
We're going to have an ice cream social.
Get yourself up here, Mark, Ralph.
We're going to have an ice cream social a little later this week.
Wine
And the
cheese.
thing is, if we don't eat all of the ice cream, the hotel's going to let us take their portable refrigerator down to the conference room. And for the rest of the week, we'll have ice cream until the tubs are gone. We bought 4 tubs of ice cream.
Oh man, is that enough?
And for the women that come to the club, a lot of the club members are primarily males, not particularly surprising, but we do appreciate the support of our wives, both monetarily and emotionally. And we do get emotional, so there is some emotional support there. In order to show them our appreciation, we're going to have a wine and cheese party strictly for the women. The hope is they don't drink all the wine, and what wine is left comes down to the convention room, and then the men will finish the wine off.
I want to
Not
be
gonna
in
happen.
Bronx party.
Not gonna happen.
So those are the events: ice cream social, wine and cheese thing, drag races, trivia contest. And I keep mentioning the convention room, so there are a few people that I guess you could call it a super sloppy. They bring stuff down, either things they bought at estate sales. They offer them to the club. We'd like to think at a reasonable price, and generally they are. And the nice thing about what you buy in our convention room is you know the seller. And if it don't work, you know next year you're going to see them. So you can always say, hey, you sold me something and it don't work. And quite frankly, I think members would more than support that activity. But that's another activity that goes on. The convention room will be open generally every evening about 6 o'clock, and we try to close around 10, but we end up having to take a broom and chasing people out because nobody wants to leave and go back to their room, right?
Right.
Thinking of chasing, Mark said he'd love to chase you with his modified police egg liner.
Yeah, okay, Mark. I'm a broken record. You cannot not have fun coming to here. It's just socialization and train running and tall story tells. We've had 2 wrecks tonight. As president of the club, I've demanded that there be an accident investigation. I want a drug and alcohol test to make sure nobody's violating Rule G.
I thought you was the one that crashed though.
Oh no!
Oh.
No. I'm clean this year.
Oh, this year.
No scrambled eggs.
No scrambled eggs this year.
Is Daddy watching his little side?
Last year or 5 years ago, John Molesworth was running Thomas, and Thomas didn't like the train in front of him, so he rear-ended him. We did an accident investigation, but Thomas wasn't willing to give a drug test, so we're not quite sure what was responsible for that. But now that's another indication. You have a wreck. Nobody wants to see a wreck, but when we do, we try to make light of it. We might try to make fun out of it. Unfortunately, John will live with having wrecked Thomas for a long time. But that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it personal. It's our trains. It's not my trains. It's our trains.
Absolutely.
It might be my train that's running, but it's the club members' trains that make this convention. And like I said, it's men and women. My wife, we're going to be running one of her military engines, pulling
Sneaking funny here,
military
Tim, so I
trains.
can look at my
So
computer here.
we have a lot of women that are bringing, like Marge with her flyer, that are bringing equipment down here to run. It's just a phenomenal event. But I would urge, so this is a little away from the standard what we were talking about. This club meets once a year. If you're into G-scale trains, I'm going to urge that you find a local club that gives you the opportunity once a month, if they have meetings that often, to participate with the same group of people that you are dealing with. And again, on a smaller scale, they're going to share stories with you. They'll have modeling contests. They'll put public displays on. Everything that we're doing here, they're going to do on a microscopic level at the local level. And coming from Buffalo, New York, when I travel around town, and we happen to mention trains, like we're leaving Friday for this convention, the lady at McDonald's, we're having breakfast, she says, oh, are you the people that did the train out at the fairgrounds? Or you're the people that's out at McKinley Mall? So the thing is, at the local club level, we're able to expose our G-scale trains to the public And we've gotten a few members to join. Just like, thank you, Andrew, for doing this tonight. We're exposing the Big Train Operators Club to those of you that don't know about us. We want you to understand who we are. We want you to join us. We want you to have the fun that we're having.
Absolutely.
So how am I doing, Andrew? Am I getting all the points across?
I think so. Is there something else you had on your mind you wanted to mention right at the moment?
Nothing right at
Okay.
the moment.
The only reason I ask is as you're mentioning, local clubs, and that reminded me, I forgot to run off for the people, the other events and stuff that are going on in the coming month. Okay. It'll just take me a moment to pull that up here. You were mentioning that. I'm like, wait a minute, I forgot to do something when we first started this. And
well, here just in the past couple months, there was a great event in Cincinnati. The Greater Cincinnati Garden Railroad Club had a swap meet at Entrainment Junction. And here you got to meet the Greater Cincinnati Club members and their layout. Plus, you got to see Entrainment Junction, which in itself is a destination if you're a G-scale modeler. Andrew's club locally there in the Warren, Ohio area, they had a vendor swap meet train show, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now?
yeah, and
Andrew was kind enough to invite a few of us there to his house and run trains at his house.
yeah, I was hoping.
Do that show 3 times.
Oh, there
So
it
they'll
is.
be there for the next 2 years. They're trying to grow it into a good sized show. The BTO had a booth there to exhibit the club and to give out membership applications, etc. We as a club are going to as many of these shows as we can in order to have BTO magazines and people can look at to see what it is we do. So there's a lot of ways to learn about us.
Check that. Oh, okay, this is back on. Good, Charles.
I'm not sure what Andrew is.
Oh, someone said they had lost the feed, but I see it's back. Oh, I'm used to sitting in my comfy office chair at home.
Well, sorry, I could have gotten you a pad for the seat here.
So,
What he should have done was got him one of the goodie bag chairs. Didn't think about that. Then he could have advertised the goodie bag. And,
He would have fallen asleep though.
oh yes,
Hey,
yes.
They're that
But-
comfortable.
my name isn't Dackman.
Oh,
If you're watching Dackman, haha.
we love you, Sean.
Let's see here. Okay, so it looks like that's up on the screen now. So real quick, since I didn't do it at the beginning, of course, the number one thing you see on the calendar there, and actually, I guess before I go too far there, I should probably mention if you want to see this event calendar, if you go to our website, largescaletrains.com, and click on the events section at the top, that'll bring you to this calendar. And I also have a submission on there if you have some large scale related event coming up that you'd like me to post on the calendar to mention during the show. Just fill out the submission on there and I will get it posted up on there. So obviously we got the BTO convention this week. We're sitting here at it. Let's see, also June 22nd to 25th is the Midwest Garden Railroad Gathering.
Take a close up with
I
these.
believe I've spoke to his name escapes me for the moment. I apologize. I've trying to follow up on a whole bunch of emails. The gentleman that's organizing that, It sounds like that's going to actually be a really, really nice event. It looks like they have a lot of things going on at that. Again, I go to the events calendar. I've got a link that'll take you over to the main site for that, so you can see all the info that's on that. Also, to mention, July 1st through the 8th is going to be the National Garden Railway Convention. That is Santa Clara, California, where that's going to take place this year. And for some reason, I'm missing the image for this last one, but this last one is actually the first East Midlands large-scale model railway show. That is actually for the folks that are over in the UK, unless you really, really want to, travel there, which if you're looking to travel, I say go for it, but I figured it was always worth mentioning on here because I know there's a few people that watch from across the pond. And as you can see, I don't have anything else on the calendar at the moment. There are some things I need to add. And like I said, if there's some stuff that you see I'm missing and you'd like me to put on the calendar, by all means, you can fill out the event submission on the website. You can always email info@largescaletrains.com as well if you'd like me to add something on there. So now that I got that out of the way.
Andrew, I brought these two cars up on the table.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we can get a closer shot of those to give them an idea.
Excuse me.
So,
And actually, here, I'll. So they can hear you.
okay, so what I wanted to do was to give you an idea of these club cars that we've talked about. So this is the car that was the convention car from 5 years ago for our 40th anniversary. So you see the 40 years on the side there, and then on the other side of the car are all of the events that we did that year. So in that year, we did the all aboard party, a great way to break the ice with somebody. We did the Wilmington and Western Railroad. We did the Gettysburg Battlefield Tour. We did a Steam into History. And if you don't know anything about Steam into History, that's a train, a Civil War train recreated. And they have a historical figure that rides the train with you that goes down to Hanover Junction, where Abraham Lincoln's pictures in history books where you're studying his Gettysburg Address. And we got to stand there. And our character was General Lee. So I'm standing on hallowed ground where Abraham Lincoln was, talking to a man who was talking about General Lee. Then we did the North Central Railroad, the B&L Railroad Museum. We had a farewell banquet, which is always a great thing to end the week. The video is doing good up there. So let's switch over to the Memorial Day car. This was a car that was done in our 43rd year, 2021. Again, the artwork was done by Bob Smoji. This was not a car dedicated to a convention. This was a car that the board of directors decided we would do in order to honor our military. Bob did a fantastic job with the flag and celebrating Memorial Day 2021. And then, of course, advertisement for big train operators. But as you can see on the door, it's dedicated honoring those who have served and sacrificed. We cannot ever forget that, no matter what we do. Okay. That's only a sample of the cars that we have done and offered to our members over the years. So, what else would you like to cover, Andrew? Oh, I will mention, we do clinics. That's one of the other things that we do at the convention.
Is that for when people fall down during the drag race?
No. It's a clinic where you learn, not where a clinic where we medically treat those who get over enthused during the drag races. This year we got 3 clinics. The first clinic is going to be a follow-on to our Mystic Convention of last year. Larry Cromwell did a great job talking about special LGB cars. And of course, he has a wonderful collection, and he brought one of every one he talked about. And when it was over, he says, you know, I got more cars than this. I'd like to do another one. So he's doing a follow-on this year with more LGB cars. Jerry Urkel did a thing on DCC last year. He fell down last week, broke some ribs. And so I tragically accepted the fact he might not be here. And I called Andrew up and said, hey, Andrew, in your bag of tricks, do you have anything you could put on for a clinic? He doesn't know this yet because I just saw him just before the podcast. So Jerry is here. He can't do what he was going to do. He just physically can't do it. So he's going to do a shortened version of what he was going to do. And then we're going to follow it with Hacking Power Supplies by Andrew Pitts.
Boy.
So we will have about an hour's clinic on DCC and how to make some economical power supplies that are useful for anybody that is using DCC or track-powered Revolution or track-powered RailPro. The third clinic this year, when you think about it, there is analog, which is track power, which is what you've seen running on the pavilion ground here. A transformer that you turn the knob and this train speeds up or slows down based on that. And then you have the Revolution, which is radio controlled, and half of the cars or trains here have Revolution.
It's like Dr.
You have
Back to the
you have the Rail Pro, which is one of the newer options for radio control. You have all of the DCC options. So we're going to do a little bit of what in general are considered pros and cons, excuse me, of each one of those systems. The other side of the coin, I've asked you to get involved with your local clubs if you can. So there are times when you will run trains for yourself. If you like a cool can of beer on a hot summer day in your backyard and watch the train sitting from your lounge chair, you want to turn them on and just let them run. Analog's a great way to do that. You don't have to worry about the battery dying or interference, what have you. Now you have friends that come over and you'd say, I'd like you to run my train. Well, running your train, turning the knob on a transformer isn't really running your train. There's no integrated experience, if you will. So now you want to hand them a controller. What controller do you hand them? Do you hand them a Revolution, an Airwire, a Pico? So the third clinic is going to brush on each one of the popular units that's out there. And when the clinic's all over with, I hope to page everybody and say, okay, what are you using at your home, home open houses, club public events unattended. My club back in Buffalo has a layout that's in an ex-jewelry store. It has a red push button on the front window. People push the button and the trains run for 7 or 8 minutes. Nobody's there. Once a week, somebody shows up. We clean the track, maybe change out a car or two so it's different, maybe add a building. But every week, it's a little something different. So it's new to people to come see it. All of those are different venues, different operations, and how do you handle them? How do you see all the people around here? We've given some of the controllers to some of the young kids that are walking around and say, here, this is speed up, this is slow down. That's the emergency stop button. Remember that one. And this one rings a bell and that one blows a horn. Have fun. And they walk around all 1,185 feet running that train with a grin on their face and their eyes the size of silver dollars. What kind of controller do you give them? One that's simple, you can train them in 2 minutes, or one that takes a bit more? This day and age, these 6, 7, 8-year-olds, you give them a computer and they can run circles around somebody who's 60 or 70 because they've grown up with computers. You give them a unit that is more graphically oriented, they can take one look at the graphic orientation and know right away, oh, this button will stop it. This button will ring the bell. This button blows the horn. So is that what you give the kids to run the train? And every time you do that at the local club level, at this level, you have the opportunity to introduce real working model trains that you can simulate real train operation. You can simulate it so well at the show in Warren. I'm sorry, the Springfield in Springfield, Massachusetts. There was a guy running a military, a very nice, well-detailed military train. Tanks held down to the flat car with chains, all properly done in the way CSX, Norfolk and Southern, any of them would tie down a military train. He's going down the track, and about the 8th car in, jumped a frog and derailed. And we hollered, stop. The guy stopped the train. One of the club members came up behind me and hollered down to the guy that was operating. He said, what are you doing, running a Norfolk and Southern train?
Ooh.
So, you know, not only can we run them, we can wreck them just like the real trains do. So it's one more experience that we can generate. Yeah, nobody wanted that train to wreck, but when it wrecked, we looked at it in a positive light to say, you know, it's fun. We're duplicating something that really does happen, unfortunately.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to make this up. No,
Andrew's got the bubs
I got that all the time. Just usually I got Nico to, you know.
to fill in for you.
Yeah.
I'll try. What do you want me to fill in?
No, I'm sorry. What were you going to say next? I apologize.
I was out of things to say.
Oh, you were out of things to say. Well, one of the things we had on the list was I did want to give people a brief kind of follow up on the show in Warren, the Northeast Ohio Large Scale Train Show. And since you were there, you're more of an unbiased opinion than mine. I always think it's great. While you were talking, I did manage to actually find some of my pictures I took. I got a couple of here, but
before we do that, Andrew, let's toss the thing out for the BTO membership that's being given away tonight before we get to the end of the podcast and some of you say, oh, we forgot that.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll get that queued up so people can start entering in for it. And
okay.
Then we can go ahead and talk about that while we let that run and you can gather that up. So give me one moment here, everybody, to get that in the chat here.
We think this would be a great way for somebody who's listening to the podcast to get a way to join the BTO for next year's festivities and get 4 issues of the BTO in the calendar at the end of the year. So the board of directors had a on-the-spot meeting, gathered around Andrew and said, yeah, we think that's a good idea, and we'll give away a membership for 1 year.
So give me one more moment here. I'm actually surprised I'm as disorganized when I'm at home at my desk as here, so I didn't degrade any.
I think you're doing good. Given the environment you're working in, and it's all new.
Forgot half the things I needed to bring with me, but it's okay.
And the studio audience around you is not being quiet, so.
Oh, that's actually a good distraction. So let's see here.
So while Andrew is calling stuff up, he wanted to talk about the show there in Warren, Ohio, a couple weeks ago. My brother Mark, who's on this thing, called me and said, you want to go to that show? I said, sure. It's a chance to spend a weekend with my brother. So we drove down on a Thursday, got a hotel room for the night. And Andrew said, well, if you're coming down, he says, I'm going to have my trains running. Why don't you come over to the house and we can run trains for a little bit? Never went to the hotel, went right to Andrew's house. It's more important to see trains than to get a bed for the night. So we went over there and your friend that does Rail Pro, Nico? Cody, yeah. Cody was there. So I had a long conversation with him about Rail Pro. Andrew's running Revolution, great trains running. So the next day we go to show up and Andrew had said, don't bother to come early because they ain't going to let you in until 10 o'clock. So we didn't show up until 10 o'clock. First place we headed was to the vendor hall, right? Mm-hmm. If you're the first one there, you want to take the opportunity to get the best deals. I told my wife, I don't need anything. I'm
what I
going
say.
to look. So we walk in the door, and just to my left as I walk in the door is a New York Central dining car, aristo-craft heavyweight dining car. I collect heavyweight passenger cars, period. New York Central, Pennsylvania, Lehigh Valley, basically anything that might have come through Buffalo, New York is what I collect. I looked at it, and of course, I have to wipe my chin off from the drool that's coming out. And I asked the guy how much, thinking he'd say some ridiculous price, like $200 or $300. He said, "Oh," he says, "I got to have $125 for it." Bingo! We've hit the sweet spot. I stared at it. Finally, I told my wife, I said, "Give him the money." Fortunately, had her take the money out of the bank. So I said, "You will store it under the table until we leave, right?" "Oh, yeah, no problem." One down. So now we walk around, and again, I wasn't going to buy anything. Well, at this convention, I'm turning in a model contest, which is really a scene. It's a barn scene of a farmer who's a motorhead. So sitting around this barn are a bunch of souped up old cars with a little people mechanic holding his toolbox looking at one of the engines. Well, naturally, I had to buy those cars when I saw them. And they're the real 124 cars. They're not banks. Really nice looking cars. So now I got a bag of those. The tool man was in the corner. I'm like every other G-scaler. You never have enough tools. Gee, isn't that file set neat? I could use a wire bender. I like that little vise you've got. Nothing over $10. That's $30 gone now. Gone. I took that out of my private money, not out of the money I had my wife take out of the bank. So we walk around. I picked up a car. I thought, well, some farmers I've seen, they have old box cars that they put up on boards, take the wheels off, and they make them into farm sheds. There was a beat up box car for $10. I'm thinking, okay, forget about the cars. We're going to use a box car farm thing. Well, we went back to the cars. I liked it better. But I now have a box car to be made into a shed sometime. Now we've spent all of our money. I don't want to hand around there anymore. They had so much stuff there. Engines for sale, cars for sale, parts for sale, people for sale. We're walking out, and the guy said, "You sure you don't want another one?" I said, "Well, you don't have any more New York Central." "Oh, yes, I do. I got one down here on the floor." And he brought it out. It's a New York Central heavyweight combine. And I'm looking at it. He said, "Well, you bought the first one for $125. How about $100 for the second one?" Gone. 2 down.
Isn't it amazing how that works?
Oh, it was absolutely awful. So I now have those on display down at the McKinley Mall because you go right along with the heavyweight. Unfortunately, one of my club members probably isn't happy because he's a New York Central guy, and I have mixed New York Central and Pennsylvania heavyweights together with a Norfolk and Southern engine pulling them. I'm not that good on road names. I just like the cars. But in any case, that was what was upstairs. Lots of good deals. At least I thought there was good deals. My brother bought a whole Thomas train set. There were a bunch of things like that. Downstairs, the local club had an operating indoor layout. This was in a YWCA building, and I assume that was like a cafeteria where that club layout is. Had the kitchen off to the
I
side.
think that might have been what it was used for at one time, but they've occupied that space for a while now.
Well, you can see the layout is permanent. So one of the things that they have done, as far as I could tell, 90% of the buildings are all lit. They set the lights up, so half of the room had the lights on, half of the room had the lights off. So you actually got the idea of what the buildings would look like if all the lights were off and you were running a nighttime scene. It was absolutely, positively beautiful.
See, let me see if I can actually, for those of you that haven't seen my videos in the past, I do have a couple different ones from the club on there. Let me find one here and I'll throw it up on the screen.
They were probably running 3 trains at one time and kept switching a couple of them off. So every 10 or 15 minutes, there was a different train going around the track, which meant you could stand there for an hour or two and never repeat anything, which really made that club layout nice. The details were good.
Oh, check camera battery. See Dunbar saying check camera battery. Yeah, you can go ahead and talk to Charles.
Okay.
As I attempt to fall off the picnic table.
So Andrew is used to a soft chair at home when he's doing these podcasts, and he's sitting at a wooden picnic bench to do this podcast right now. And neither one of us are that agile getting in and off of this bench. And as he said, his battery went low, and if he kicks the fire, I think Marge is going to kill him.
I don't need that.
But he's quickly changing it. One of the things that club had, it wasn't operating when we were there, but they had a full rotary coal dumper on one of the side tracks. And from what we could see from the aisles that walked around, a beautifully detailed model. Absolutely fantastic.
All right. We got camera back.
So we're back.
I think we're back. Let me know, Dunbar, since you reported it to me, if we have camera again. Yes, Brian, this is the most you've probably seen me move. No, I'm not going to go run laps around the pond.
We may have to do that by Friday because we have smorgasbord breakfasts that are unrealistic. The food here at Bird in Hand is just absolutely fabulous.
Video is back. All right. Did I hear you correctly, Dunbar? Did you say you're at the convention or you're on your way here? I thought I saw something from the chat earlier about that. Let's see. All right. Now that we fixed that, let me see if I can find a video of the club layout here real quick to show everybody.
One of the neat things that I saw sitting on one of the sidings was a switcher sitting there. The engine was idling, rum, 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 rum type of thing. It had the ditch lights on, the lights pointing. You're waiting for an engineer to climb up in the cab and take off down the track and do some switching. Just a little static display, but with the lights and the sound, it was fabulous. Did you find one?
Yep, I found one. I just got to share it up here. Let's see.
He's having fun looking at his different videos.
I get lost. There's a lot of them in there.
I actually thought Andrew was better than this and well organized, but I guess that's what his partner does, is cover for him when he's searching for his videos to post. I'm not that good.
You know, just like, Nico, you're at least better looking than me. So, it gives the ladies.
Let's not tell my wife that.
Let's see here. All right. So. So chocolatey, but let's see here. So that is Riverside Club. Hey, hello, Zachary Riggins. How are things going in Rigginsville? Have you had any anonymous donations that you got to work into the layoff? But yeah, unfortunately, the video I'm showing is from a little while ago, so you're not going to see what Charles was talking about. And this thought you're seeing right now, all this buildings in the background. The club actually has all this lighted now. I believe even, I don't know, Charles, when you were down at these houses that were all like that corner there with the car lots at, was that stuff all lit too?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think 90% of the buildings I saw were lit.
Yeah. So,
I like the switch tower that was lit. The switch,
oh, right here?
yeah, the inside being detailed.
Yeah, that was the member that away, Chris Moran was his name. He actually did the interior and the switch tower and everything. And he was a detail oriented kind of guy. He did a lot of things on the layout.
My only problem was the way it's sitting. You can't see all of the detail. You just see the back of the switchboard.
Yeah.
You need to rotate it
Oh, I see what you mean.
180 degrees so people can see it.
So your general, what's your general thought? Well,
I'll be back.
You'll be back? Wonderful.
Is that good enough?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be back for your layout.
My
I'll
layout?
bring my rail code next time so I can chase on your
Wow,
layout.
all right, Cody. You better get over there. That works. I'll give you the code that they can work on it while I'm here.
Put some more lights up in this backyard so we're not tripping over each other.
Oh, I took care of that already. Actually.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah, I put solar lights around all the fence posts.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I've been working on it.
Okay. I guess given that does remind me, besides the two layouts that we showed you here, the one on the pavilion ground, the one running around the lake, we've got one out front in the flowers, right? Do we have one in the front lobby? We got two in the front lobby. Got the one in the gazebo, and besides yours, does not have a layout so we have two layouts down in the convention room area. So anybody coming to the convention is going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 train layouts. That should be good enough. That's one a night to enjoy. Oh, so here's Tim. He just loves to rub it in. He's running 5 tracks. So it may be 7 layouts, but we have the potential of running 11 trains. And he's grinning and shaking his head. So I guess we're going to have 5 trains.
I feel like I should have bought one.
Well, you should have.
You know, we should have taken a tour of your trailer.
It's empty right now.
Tim's probably got the most well laid out trailer for traveling the train events. He's ready to go at that.
Now, just when you say well equipped, he's got photocells on top, so he doesn't have to plug into power. He's got air conditioning, and he's got a bunk and a refrigerator. The only thing, do you have a microwave?
When I need it, I got one.
Okay. So he can make his coffee, do his toast, have his cereal and milk, and then go out and run trains at RDL Hobby. So, some members in this club have more toys than the rest of us. Envy is a thing we have to watch.
The toys aren't the problem for me. It's the room for them.
Well,
Wanting
the toys, and the reason I don't have them is because I can't afford them.
Well, there's that too. But even though my opinion's biased because I live in the area, I did want to throw out there that I thought the show in Warren was really good this year. It's getting better and better every year. It seems like the attendance actually growing. And if you watch my live stream, when I did the walk through the show, you'll notice when I went outside to show you G-Scale Junction set up outside, I had to wait for the line of people to come in the door so I could get back out. You might have seen Charles walk by too.
Yeah, well, we did talk. We were in line to pay our admission when you came through.
Yeah. So
and the line was long behind us.
Yeah, so I think it's turning into a really, really nice event. Did you want to touch on some of the different things that are in the area to do outside of here for Bird in Hand?
Sure. One of the reasons that the club has come to Bird in Hand is this general area is kind of a railroad mecca for those of us that like historical trains as well as modern trains. So if you get out on our website and you see what we're going to be doing, we're going to the Strasburg Railroad on Tuesday. We're going to ride the train. We're going to the Pennsylvania Railroad Museum, which is right across the street. For those who can climb steps, and not all of us can anymore, but those that can, we're going to get a tour of their backstage restoration area. Of course, the Strasburg Railroad, if you're not familiar with it, shame on you. The Strasburg Railroad is the oldest continuous operating railroad under the same charter in the country. For all I know, it might even be in the world, for that matter. It's 100-some years old at this point. I've been told that part of their schedule during the day is the same schedule they ran 100 years ago. It goes from the Strasburg station to Paradise via intercourse. You can put your own tune on that. The first time we told that, I had my young kids with me, and it's like, really? But those are real towns, and that's where the train goes. They have a train car there that was in the Hello Dolly movie that my family rode. It was wonderful to be in the same car that was in the movie. The Strasburg train, by the way, was the steam train in that movie a few years back. They have a dinner train there that's fabulous. This was a railroad that in 1953 was close to bankruptcy. They had $3,000 roughly a year of income coming in, and I think it was like 20 carloads in the last year.
Oh, wow.
At which point they had, my understanding is they had applied for abandonment to the Pennsylvania Railroad Commission. There were two guys that were strong railroad buffs and historical buffs and said, we cannot let a railroad with this significance go away. And the two of them put together 14 people total, put a corporation together, and they bought the Strasburg Railroad. They ran it with an old diesel that was there. They said, gee, a railroad this old really needs to have steam. And so they canvassed around trying to find a steam engine, found one up in Canada that had recently undergone its inspection, so it was legal to travel. And they brought it down from Canada down to the Strasburg. It was my understanding, because the Strasburg is a operating railroad under all the federal requirements, you cannot abandon a live steam engine on a mainline track. They brought the steam engine in, and the years and years of low maintenance on the track was very evident as the steam engine, acting like a jackhammer, managed to tear up the ties as they started down the track, and they had to stop the train, literally. But the fire was hot, so they couldn't abandon it. So it was my understanding the engineer had to spend the night with it until they could bring a diesel in to pull that into the station, because they couldn't drive it down the track. That engine, I think it's number 39, has now been retired and is given to a local museum. But they have 3 steam engines on site, serviceable. I looked at their Facebook page just 2 days ago, and somebody posted triple header steam trains on the Strasburg. Ooh. It was beautiful. And last week, the 611 was in from Philadelphia pulling trains on the Strasburg.
That's what I was wondering. I couldn't remember if 611 was still running at Strasburg or if it went back.
It went back beginning of last week. They also have a little live scale ride-on train. I haven't seen it for a while, but they have it there.
7.5? Is that what that is? 7.5?
Yeah, I think it's 7.5. And this weekend, they're going to have Thomas the Train running there. So it's going to be a zoo.
I see your brother Mark mentioned the Caboose Hotel near the railroad, the Red Caboose Inn.
Yeah, there's the Red Caboose Inn, which is in itself a story, which I'll tell you as much as I know about it. There was a gentleman who thought he'd like to spend the night in a caboose. He thought it would be a great getaway, if you will. And lo and behold, he read someplace about a bunch of cabooses that were about to be scrapped. They were up for sale. So he bid on them. He won. The problem was the railroad said you have X days to get them off the track, off my property. Well, this is Amish country. The farms around here are basically passed down from father to son, generation after generation. Having land available to buy is very difficult. This man managed to buy some land just down the street from the Strasburg engine house. He brought all the trains in on the Strasburg Railroad. He built 2 sections of track on his property. He put all the cabooses in a line, and now you can reserve a caboose. It'll sleep, I think it's up to 6. When I was there with my youngest son, the TV was in the pot-bellied stove. So you can imagine in a small TV, given how long ago it was. My son plopped himself down on the edge of the bed, stared at that TV and a pot-bellied stove, and didn't move. We had a hard time getting him out so we could ride trains.
Oh, hey, I know this one. Let's see if that's showing up on the screen right or not.
So I told all of this to my brother Mark, which is why he's made some comments here. And so him and Sherry, his wife, they decided that they would make a reservation at the Red Caboose Motel. So they show up later in the evening to register, and their registration got lost. They didn't have a caboose available. Well, they took pity on my brother and his wife and said, we'll let you have the caboose out front, which is our display caboose, not for rent.
Oh,
And so that's where they spent the night, was in this caboose up front, which was absolutely fabulous.
now I wanted to scroll down to that one. Let me see if that's showing on the screen. So the honeymoon caboose that I have on the screen there is an interesting one. I got that for my wife and I several years back. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. I think, Charles, you would see my collection of trains up for sale and nobody would ever see me again if I took the life back again.
Okay, now we're in.
Not that there was anything wrong with the caboose. It was fabulous. It was not my wife's idea of getting away.
Well, the interesting thing for me on the Red Caboose Motel, my youngest daughter was 1 year old the first time we went there. My oldest daughter must have been 7 or 8. So now fast forward, my oldest daughter is now in her early 40s, something like that. She called me up and she said, Dad, she said, do you remember the Red Caboose Motel? Well, sure, I remember it. We had a ball. She said, I had so much fun. She said, I'd like to share that experience with my kids. Would you join us? And so we got to go back there with my oldest daughter, my youngest son, 2 grandsons from Buffalo, 2 granddaughters and a grandson from Columbus. And we spent another weekend at the Red Caboose Motel. We shared 2 different cabooses. We rode in an Amish buggy. One of the girls got to drive the buggy, got to sit up front with the guy. Memories. What it's all about is memories that we've generated.
Now, we were saying right across from the Strasburg Railway is and I always say it wrong, it's the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania, not the Pennsylvania Railway
No, it's the
Museum.
Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania, but it's primarily Pennsylvania equipment. You can do private, you can do group tours, and the group tour is usually 8 to 10 people. And they'll walk you around and tell you all about the equipment. We told my one son, my youngest son, who's he's got some mental retardation issues. We told him we're going to go ride trains. Now he remembers riding the trains locally, Arcade in Attica and that type of thing. That you get on this car and you sit down next to the window and the wind blows in and you have a good time. We go into the museum there. The first thing you see is a passenger car. He's up the steps in the passenger car, sits down at the window and wouldn't move until that train moved out of the museum. We had a hard time convincing him that's not the train we're riding. But they have a lot of restored cars there. They have equipment outside, a GG1, high-speed electric locomotives that the Pennsylvania ran there on their East Coast line between New York City and Washington. It's a wonderful museum. And they've got a pit, at least from last time I was there, you could walk down and look at the bottom of the train. When I was a teenager and I could walk down to the park about 3 blocks from my house, there was a creek that ran through my park, and there was a train trestle, a wooden train trestle with open ties that you could see through. I used to lie down next to this creek looking up there so I could see what the bottom of a train looked like. Here was my dream come true. I could actually go down in the pit, and the dang thing wasn't moving, so I could actually see something within a flash. It's a great museum. It's a wonderful museum.
I recommend that. There's so much stuff to do in this area. I really don't know how I can not recommend people that are into trains in general to not visit this area. You know,
one of the trains, I talked about it earlier. One of the things we did was this steam into history, and you can look it up on the web, and they'll talk about it. It's a Civil War era 440. The coaches are all reproduced coaches, including a chair car at the end. And one of the chairs is lined up looking out the door down the track. Well, everybody's out looking at the train and at the station and all of that kind of stuff. I'm inside the train. I want to see what the inside looks like, the cars. I found that chair. I set my butt down so I was looking out the back door. I wouldn't move. Everybody else had to get up and take seats around me. So I rode that train all the way out to Hanover Junction.
Oh, I almost forgot we were going to giveaway.
Well, I figured you'd get around to it eventually.
I get lost listening to you tell your stories. I just get drawn in,
Sorry about that.
Let's see here. Let me get the giveaway up here. Because I know people have been patiently waiting. Yeah. Let's see here. So, and again, to remind everybody what the giveaway is a 1-year membership to the Big Train Operators Club. You, of course, get 4 quarterly issues of the Big Train Operator. 4th issue of the year has a full 12-month calendar in it.
Opportunity to buy club cars when they're available.
Yeah, that too.
Attend the conventions. And anything else we can toss into it.
All right. So let me get rid of the banner for entering that so that people know that we stopped taking entries on that. Make sure I don't got anything in the comments here. Oh, Paul, I see Paul Torrey snuck in there with a hashtag BTO. Okay. Oh, Chuck Lardy just jumped in there. All right. I'll give you guys like 10 more seconds here.
10, 9, 8. So while he's giving you 10 more seconds, we got down to the far end. And like I said, it was General Lee and his wife all talking first person about what it was like to be in the United States Army and then becoming the general in charge of the Confederate Army. His wife made a comment that she was persecuted by the federal government as a spy. And she had friends that actually moved her around and kept her out of the clutches of the federal government, which I thought was fascinating. I never thought about General Lee being having his wife that was persecuted for his actions.
Wow.
And then one of our guys was a graduate of the Army. I'm drawing a blank. The Army Academy. Anyhow, whatever it is, West Point. He's a graduate of West Point, and he made a comment. He said, General Lee was such a good military strategist that they were still studying his battle plans when this guy graduated 15, 20 years ago. So that's what a great, and I'm going to say it, what a great American General Lee really was. Yes, He fought for states' rights because he believed in them. Well, don't we all believe in something about this country? He just was in a position that put him as maybe the bad guy if you were up north.
I just believe it's been really wrong for Tim to sit there enjoying that ice cream while I'm sitting here watching him eat it. You know,
My wife said, "Do you want an ice cream?" So I almost had an ice cream
Yeah.
to eat while you were talking.
I'm sitting here watching. I see Tim licking his fingers, getting the last of the ice cream off.
Very good too.
All
Thanks,
right,
Tim.
let's do the draw here. Let's see who won. Did you win yet? No, I don't know, Kyle. Let's see. Let's see who's going to win a 1-year membership to the Big Train Operators Club. And here we go. And actually, Nico, if he had been here, could have entered tonight since he wasn't, co-hosting the show. But I guess
Tia
he
wants
gets
to know.
robbed. Hey, Stephen Barrier, I would tell you to send me your info and I'll send it off to him. But I know you will because you already know how to contact me. So I will get Stephen's info over to you.
Okay.
And we'll
Congratulations, Stephen.
Yeah, and
Welcome
actually,
aboard.
You met Stephen
At your house?
Yeah, he was.
Really?
He was up from
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember you.
He remembers you, Stephen. I guess that means you're out.
Shall we withdraw this? Like I said, we have as much fun in this club as we had at Andrew's house that night. So welcome aboard.
Robbed again, Paul Torrey says.
Tia's mad at me because I didn't enter her name into it.
Huh? No, there's actually less glare with no light on.
Yeah, his head's not bouncing off the light.
I was kind of debating, I buzzed my hair down before this. I'm like, maybe I should have. Well, then again, who am I kidding? There really isn't a whole lot that goes on top of my head. A BTO hat. I need to get a BTO shirt too. Tomorrow? Oh, I'm all over it. So, with that, what do we got left, Charles? Anything else that we didn't touch on? Or
Well, we did the Strasbourg, steaming into history. We've done the trade shows, all of them.
Yeah.
We talked about this convention, past conventions, looking forward to future activities, future conventions. We need all the members that we can get, because the more members we got, the more hotels look at us and say, "Oh, you're coming with 100 people." We'd love it.
I think Mark's a little bit behind the curve. He just put #BTO in there to win. Isn't he a member of the BTO?
No,
Mark's not a member of the BTO.
He
Wait till I see him next time.
he is the one black sheep in my family history. I've tried and tried. I've given him applications. He says, "Okay, we're going to send it in. We're going to send it in," and then something happens and he doesn't do it. So maybe Mark, we can shame you in this podcast and get you to join for next year.
I'm actually surprised that you haven't gotten to do that, because up in Massachusetts, I had not turned in my registration for this convention yet. And I told you, I said, Charles, please remind me. I'll
Remind you, heck, I had you fill it out.
Yeah, every time I'd come by, they're like, "Hey, Charles was over here looking for you." And finally, I couldn't find the form he gave me. I went over to the table. I was like, "Give me a new form. I'll fill it out right now." So,
And then we billed him.
yeah, and then you billed me.
Didn't even ask for money up front.
So I'm not quite sure how Mark's not a member yet.
Well, he is family. I can strong arm you because I'm not living with you and I don't have your wife breathing down my neck. He's family. I can only strong arm my brother and sister-in-law so far. And then I have to get on my knees for pity and say, "Won't you please join?"
Oh, man. Well,
it's starting to get dark here.
It is.
The lights have started to come on around the pond. Now, what you'll see in a little bit is we've got, as you put in, yard lights. They're all around to light the track. And we'll be running trains with all their lights when it gets dark. And in fact, 5 years ago, that's when Thomas and the other train mixed was late at night.
Now, for people that aren't actually attending the convention, or this area, is this open for the general public to come in and see?
This is open to the general public to see. What they can't see are Tim Stump's 5-track layout and Scott's layout that's in the convention room.
Okay. So keep that in mind, folks. If you're nearby and you want to take a trip down this way, the track is set up out here around the pond. People are running on. You want to stop down and check it out.
And somebody should be
Yeah.
running every night of the week.
What if somebody wants to come down and sign up to be a member during the convention?
They can do that.
See, there's that too.
You can't attend the banquet. You can't attend the
Well, obviously,
wine and
yeah.
cheese. None of that stuff if
Yeah,
you're
'cause they
not a
didn't-
member.
They didn't.
Well, I would still take a membership that wanted to come to the farewell banquet on Friday. Our Saturday, we'd probably have to cut it off Wednesday because we got to give a firm number to the hotel. And I guess a shout out to the staff at Bird in Hand. They're like every other hotel that is hurting for help. They're understaffed. They made a comment when I checked in that they'll service my room the first night we were there, but when you're there multiple nights, it's every second night they service it. Well,
Yeah.
we've been here, this is going into our third day, so they shouldn't have done me this morning. They did it yesterday, but they did it this morning. So they're reaching out. I have nothing but good things to say about the staff. The restaurant is closed on Sunday to the general public. It's open to people that are staying in the resort. Monday, it's closed to everybody, but they've made special arrangements with us.
I get breakfast tomorrow, don't I?
You get breakfast
Oh, okay.
tomorrow. It's by special arrangement that they've made with us. They have a special cook coming in. They're doing a continental plus breakfast, I understand. But that's how much they're leaning over. Even though they're short staff, they're leaning over to make this a fantastic memory experience. So I can't say enough about the staff at Bird in Hand.
Well, I think we're about ready to wrap up at this point, aren't we?
I think so.
Okay.
I want that ice cream.
Yeah, I do as well. I mean, Tim really sold me on the ice cream as he sat there enjoying it and not offering us any. So I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in tonight. I don't have a firm date for you, but I want to say the next live stream, I believe, is going to be on July 30th. I don't have any details for you on that live stream yet. I'm still working that out. As I said before, Nico's taking the summer off, so you just get me. So, maybe I can get a still picture of Nico to put up on the screen, for the ladies out there. I don't know.
Andrew,
So-
thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about the BTO.
Oh, thank you, Charles. Thank you
Wonderful
very much.
time.
So,
Wonderful time.
thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.
Goodbye.